Let's connect with the silent witness. Close the eyes and put our attention on the silence that's always there deep in the mind. Connecting with that silence, we become the silent witness. Now, from the perspective of the silent witness, listen to the Yoga Vasishta. Book 4, Chapter 7. Vasishta said, thus, Shukra, being among the gods in the celestial city, forgot his former nature. Without passing through the pains of death, having halted a while by the side of Sachi's consort, that's Indra, he rose up to roam about the paradise, charmed with all its various beauties. He looked with rapture on the beauty of his own body, and longed to see the lovely beauties of heavenly beings, just as a swan is eager to meet the lotuses of the lake. So what is happening here is Shukra, an enlightened being, an ascended master, lost his connection with the silent witness. He became immersed again in the relative universe, the illusory universe, which in this case was a celestial realm. This is, for us, a warning that it is quite possible to become immersed in the relative universe, even if we have achieved a high state of enlightenment. It's just a simple transition. It's the transition that we make when we assume our nature of the silent witness, only in reverse. When we achieve Moksha level 1, or Moksha level 2, or 3, or 4, we still have individual karmic traces. They're far away, as it were, in the distance. And so there's very little to pull us away from the current moment, out of the now, away from being established in the silent witness. It's like we have bored a tunnel through the karmic traces. But at any moment, there's the possibility that a rock will fall from the ceiling of our tunnel and hit us on the head, grab our attention, and in that instant we have lost our connection with the silent witness. So we have to remain vigilant. We need to remain also on the program of balancing karmic traces. When we reach Moksha level 1, we're just beginning. We're established in the silent witness, and it's easy enough for us to keep that level of consciousness as our own self 24 hours a day. So we witness everything that the body is doing. But still, we haven't had the refinement of our senses so that we can also witness other realms than the physical. This refinement of the senses comes spontaneously, gradually, as we balance more karmic traces. If we continue our sadhana every day, 2 or 3 times a day, the body goes through the ritual of sitting in meditation. This gives us another opportunity to reinforce our connection with the silent witness and balance additional karmic traces. So it keeps us from getting lost again in the illusory universe. Well, this is a story of someone who was hit on the head by one of the rocks in his mountain ranges of karma that was still left to be balanced. So he made the mistake of following that impulse coming from individual karmic traces. Verse 4. He saw his beloved one among them in the garden of Indra's paradise, her eyes like those of a young deer, and with a stature as delicate as that of a tender amra vine. She also saw the son of Brigu and lost her self-control. Thus he observed all her indications of amorous feelings. His whole body dissolved in affection for her, like a moonstone melting under moonbeams. And so did hers, likewise, in tenderness for him. He, like the moonstone, was cooled by her soothing and cooling beauty, beaming like moonlights in the sky. She also, being seen by him, was entirely subdued by her love to him. As they bewailed like ruddy geese at their separation from one another, and at daybreak they were filled with delight on seeing each other. They were both as beautiful to behold as the sun and the opening blossom of the lotus in morning. Their presence added a charm to the garden of paradise, which promised to confer their desired bliss. She committed her subdued self to the mercy of Kama, the god of love, who in his turn darted his arrows relentlessly at her tender heart. Her body was covered with Kama's arrows like a lotus blossom hidden under a swarm of bees. She became as disordered as the leaves of a lotus disturbed under a shower of raindrops. She fluttered at the gentle breeze of playful winds, like the tender filaments of flowers. She moved as gracefully as a swan, her eyes as blue as the petals of blue lotuses. She was deranged by the god of love, like a bed of lotuses is disturbed by a mighty elephant. Her lover Shukra, in his fancy, saw her in that plight. At last, the shade of night spread over the landscape of heavenly paradise, as if the god of destruction was advancing to bury the world under universal gloom. A deep darkness spread over the face of the earth and covered it with thick gloom, like the regions of the polar mountains, where the hot, blazing sun is hidden by the dark shade of perpetual light, as if hiding its face in shame under the dark veil of gloom. When the assembled crowds of the place retired in different directions to their respective homes, the loving pair met together in the midst of the grove. Then the love-smitten lady approached her lover with sidelong glances, like a bird of air alights from her aerial flight in the evening to meet with her mate on the earth below. She advanced toward the son of Prithu as a peahen comes out to meet the rising cloud. She saw a whitewashed building, a white couch placed inside. Bhargava Shukra entered the white hall like Vishnu entering the milk ocean, accompanied by his beloved Lakshmi, who held his hand with her downcast countenance. The Apsara fairy graced Shukra like the lotus stalk graces the bosom of the elephant. She spoke to him sweetly with words mixed with tender affection. She told him in a sweet and delightful speech, filled with expressions of endearment. Behold, O moon-faced lover, I see the curve of your bow is bent for my destruction. Kama is shooting his arrows to destroy this lovelorn maid. Therefore, protect me from him. I am so helpless from his rage that I have come under your protection. Know, my good friend, that the duty of good people is to relieve the wretched from their distress. Those who do not look upon them with a compassionate eye are reckoned the basest of men. Love is never abused by those who are acquainted with erotica, because the true love of faithful lovers endures to the end without any fear of separation. Know, my dear, that the delightful draught of love defies the dewy beams distilled by the moon, and the sovereignty of the three worlds is never as pleasing to the soul as the love of the beloved. I derive the same bliss from the touch of your feet as lovers when they first love one another. I live by the nectar of your touch as the Kamunda blooms imbibe ambrosial moonbeams at night. As the fluttering chakora is delighted drinking moonbeams, so this suppliant at your feet is blessed by the touch of the leaf-like palm of your hand. Embrace me now to your bosom, filled with ambrosial bliss. Saying so, the maiden fell upon his bosom with her body soft as a flower, and her eyes turning like a small leaf in a gentle breeze. The loving pair fell into their trance of love in that happy grove. Like a couple of playful bees creep into a lotus cup under the fair filaments of the flower, shaking by the gentle breeze. So what is the purpose of this discourse in the Yoga Vasishta? Well, it is obviously to touch and activate individual karmic traces that are deep in the pile of karmic traces for every human being. By touching and activating these karmic traces, we are presented with an opportunity for balancing them. And this is how the Yoga Vasishta fulfills its mission of balancing all the deep knowledge construct karmic traces to allow higher states of consciousness to arise. Continuing with chapter 8, Reincarnation of Shukra. Now that word, reincarnation, that literally means falling again into the illusion called samsara. Vasishta related. Thus, the son of Bhrigu in his daydream believed himself to be enjoying heavenly pleasures. He thought of enjoying the company of his beloved, like the full moon accompanied by the evening star, bedecked with garlands of mandara flowers and inebriated with the drink of ambrosial draughts. He roved about the ideal lake of heaven, Manasarovar, filled with lotuses and frequented by the giddy swans and gabbling geese of heaven. He roamed beside the bank of the celestial Mandakini River, accompanied by celestial singers. He drank the sweet nectar juice, beaming like moonbeams in company with the gods. He rested under trees, in groves, formed by the shaking branches of Parijata plant. He amused himself with his favorite air spirits, Vidyadharas, swinging himself in hanging cradles formed by the shady vines of the arbor and screening him from the spring sunbeams. The flower beds of the Nandana gardens were trodden down under the feet of Shiva's followers, as when the ocean was churned by Mandara mountain. Tender weeds and willows, growing like golden shrubs, and the tangled bushes by the beach of the river were trampled under the legs of heated elephants, as when they infest the lotus lake on Mount Meru. Accompanied by his sweetheart, Shukra passed moonlit nights in the forest groves of Kailash, listening to the songs and music of heavenly singers. Roaming on the tablelands of Gandhamandana mountain, he decorated his beloved from head to foot with lotus garlands. He wandered with her to the polar mountain, which is full of wonders, having darkness on one side and light on the other. Here they played together with tender smiles and fond caresses and embraces. He thought he remained in a celestial abode beside the marshlands of Mandara for 60 years and passed his time in the company of the young Apsara of the place. He believed he passed half a yuga with his companion on the border of the Milky Ocean, and they associated with the maritime people and islanders of that ocean. Next, he thought to live in a garden of the city of celestial singers, Gandharvas, where he believed to have lived for an immeasurable period of time, like the genius of time himself, who is the producer of an infinity of worlds. He again found himself by the celestial seat of Indra, where he believed to have resided with his mistress for many cycles of the 4 yuga ages. It was at the end of the merit of their acts that they doomed to return to earth, shorn of their heavenly beauty and fine features. What we're seeing here illustrates the importance of achieving the highest possible level of moksha while still in human form. If we stop at moksha level 1, when we lose the body, we will be in the wonderful celestial realms, and we're very likely to fall again back into human incarnation, just like Shukra has done. But if we can achieve the higher levels, all the way to moksha level 4, and begin moksha level 5, then we will be safe from the karma that will pull us back into yet another incarnation. Let's continue with our eyes closed. Continue connected with this silent witness. And begin the practice of Trimana Sanyama with the esoteric Mahamantra. This is an optimal time for that practice. For many karmic traces have now been activated and enlivened by our study of the Yoga Vasishtha. Jai Gurudev. Thank you for joining today.